For the moment, like I said, I want to take you to what's happening in Pakistan. And this is a very big story that's developing. For days, we've been waiting for what happens at the Supreme Court on the legality of Imran Khan's decision. And the decision has gone against Imran Khan. And that is what the 5-judge bench, I'm told, has unanimously declared. The Chief Justice of Pakistan was part of this decision along with 4 other judges. And they've all been called pro-army in the past. Now, they've delivered their verdict, and they have, in fact, been speaking about it. The observations made it amply clear that this was not going to be a match that Imran Khan was winning. That verdict is still being delivered as we speak. It has set... In fact, it has overruled the decision to dissolve the country's assembly. Remember, the National Assembly was dissolved. Imran Khan wanted a snap election. The court has called the actions of Pakistan's deputy speaker unconstitutional. That is the big decision coming right now. If I could take you through the observations that led to this ruling. The first one was by the Chief Justice of Pakistan. He said, and I'm quoting, "The ruling of the Deputy Speaker was erroneous." Now they've labelled it as unconstitutional. "Prima facie, the ruling is a violation of Article 95. By calling for elections, the country has been left hapless for 90 days. This is what the Chief Justice of Pakistan said. Then we had an observation by Justice Mazhar Alam Khan. He said, "Isn't the court the guardian of the Constitution? How will justice be done if someone is affected by the parliamentary proceedings? If there is no justice, will the court remain silent?" So you see, the build-up was very much there. Then we had an observation by Justice Jamal Khan Mandokhel. He said, and I'm quoting, "Elected members of the people were present in the House. Deputy Speaker gave a ruling against them. Isn't the ruling against the will of public representatives out of parliamentary procedure?" And then we have Justice Munib Akhtar. This is what he said while the case was being heard today. "The Speaker is the caretaker of the House. The Speaker does not sit just for his personal satisfaction. The Speaker cannot just say goodbye to the rest of the members." The writing was on the wall for Imran Khan. Remember, he has been in election mode and he's been addressing the people of his country. He has hit the streets and the screens. He has made multiple appearances on Pakistani television channels, including doing a dial-in show where he spoke to some people, and that did not go as planned because some of the statements were uncharitable. But Imran Khan has been trying to reach out to his people and portray himself as a victim of a system that does not want an independent policy maker at the helm. He insinuated that there was an American hand, and that is a statement that he made, immediately correcting himself, saying that there was a foreign hand that was behind the conspiracy to unseat him. And he has not been able to prove that. He claimed to have a letter which would prove this assertion, but that letter has not been shared with the world as of now. The army has since spoken. We've heard from General Bajwa, the army chief of Pakistan, who has said that the West, in fact the US, remains a friend, and the best weapons in their arsenal are the weapons that the Americans gave. He has condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the army has set a line diametrically opposite to what Imran Khan has said so far. So this is the stage that was being set all these days. Many said that the court was adjourning the matter indefinitely. Day after day, we heard hearings, and then the court said that they will decide on it later because they were waiting for a decision from the real decision makers, which is the army of Pakistan. Well, now the court has spoken and the deputy speaker's ruling has been set aside, which basically means that there will be a no confidence motion in Pakistan. This is high voltage drama playing out. These are images from earlier today, and we're told that there's a lot of security that has been deployed here, because if the verdict goes against Imran Khan, which it has gone right now, there was a fear that there could be violence. And Imran Khan has been threatening that the consequences will not be good if he is made to sit outside the House, if he is made to join the ranks of the opposition. So that is where things stand as of now. A lot of drama in Islamabad, and we've seen this crisis play out. A no-trust motion will take place now. Remember, there was going to be a big no-confidence vote on Sunday. That did not happen after Imran Khan, with the help of the Deputy Speaker, got the Assembly dissolved. The Pakistan Supreme Court has now ruled that the advice by Prime Minister to the President was unconstitutional. The Pakistan Supreme Court has also quashed all actions taken by the President. It has overruled the rejection of the no trust motion. The court has overruled the Deputy Speaker's ruling. And this, I can tell you, is a unanimous verdict by the 5 judges of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. The Supreme Court clearly stating that the advice by the Prime Minister to the President was unconstitutional, and the no confidence motion will be put to vote on Saturday. So this is where things stand. It's a big setback for Imran Khan, who wanted to call a snap election earlier today. The Election Commission of Pakistan said that it will not be possible for them to conduct an election at such a short notice. So the ruling of the Deputy Speaker given on the floor of the House on the 3rd of April for NCM against Prime Minister under Article 35, for which notice was given, has been declared contrary to the Constitution and hereby set aside. This is what the court has said in its verdict. It has declared that the advice by the Prime Minister to the President was contrary to the Constitution. All actions done are of no legal effect and quashed. So this is the gist of what the Supreme Court of Pakistan has just ruled. The country's top court has delivered its verdict, and it has set aside the decision to dissolve Pakistan's National Assembly, calling the actions of Pakistan's Deputy Speaker unconstitutional, meaning a snap election will not take place, a no trust motion will be put to vote on Saturday. This is what the Supreme Court of Pakistan has decided, a unanimous verdict by a 5-judge bench, saying that Imran Khan will have to face that no trust vote. And security, like I said, had been stepped up ahead of this verdict. Troops from the Frontier Corps were deployed because authorities feared there could be violence if the verdict is not in favor of Imran Khan. We'll have to see how this plays out in the streets of Pakistan and also in the political circles. Remember, there's been a lot of buzz, a lot of allegations flowing back and forth, with many confidants, friends and family of Imran Khan leaving the country, and the opposition saying that this has to be stopped and that they're running away with money that they took as bribes. Joining me from Islamabad is my colleague Anas Malik, WION's Pakistan Bureau Chief. Anas, this is a big setback for Imran Khan. What happens next?
Palki, it's a big win for restoration of law to what the actions that he saw, the dictatorial actions that he saw of Imran Khan the other day on Sunday, they have been set aside by the court, and it's all jubilation around the Pakistani Supreme Court. People are literally crying, they're overwhelmed, they're overjoyed, because for one reason, previously we've seen that doctrine of necessity has been invoked in Pakistan for such measures, and there's always been talk of moving forward. But this one particular instance, the court made sure that the doctrine of necessity was buried for good, and the law and constitution prevails, and rightly so. And this is exactly what has been done today by the court. A unanimous verdict, a 5-0 verdict. They set aside everything. They set aside all of the actions of the incumbent government. They've restored the parliament. They've restored democracy. They've restored the constitution. They've made sure that the constitution remains supreme. As I talk to you, there are chants against the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. There are the lawyer of Supreme Court Bar. He's being held on shoulders by other lawyers. I see the People's Party lawyers around me. They're overwhelmed with joy. What happens next is that on Saturday is when the vote of no confidence will be done at the Assembly. That's lawful. Any member parliament who's defecting, his fate will not be judged, at least for the time being, until he votes, or he or she votes. That is something that has been made very clear by the Pakistani parliament, by the Pakistani judiciary, pardon me on that. So going forward, this is how things will roll. In case if Imran Khan loses the no confidence vote, then it's his history. He's going to go for the opposition benches. But none of the actions that he's done on Sunday, including the dissolution of assemblies, none of them hold currently before the court. Palki.
Right, Anna, stay with us. We are also being joined by Ambassador Abdul Basit from Islamabad. He's the former Pakistani High Commissioner to India and the Director General of the Islamabad Center for Regional Studies. Ambassador Basit, good to have you on Gravitas. Did you see this coming, this order by the Supreme Court of Pakistan?
Yeah, as we were discussing the other day on your channel, I was very clear that the Supreme Court the basic point in front of the Supreme Court or before the Supreme Court is to whether or not Article 5A could be invoked when the no confidence motion is on the agenda item. So I was rather convinced that this is the best way forward. The Supreme Court should not take any via media decision. It is important, and now we are very glad that the Supreme Court took this decision. Now what I'm saying is that as previously I did think that perhaps elections may take this year, but now it seems that this assembly would complete its 5-year term, which is good for Pakistan in my view. And then secondly, because we are facing severe economic problems, so this government would need time to see as to how to bring the economy, put the economy back on rails, and that is very, very important. So I think overall the decision is good for Pakistan, and let's see how Mr. Imran Khan now reacts. But he has been left with no other option in my view. He will have to be agreeable to this, and yes, he will immediately start rallying people behind him. That is given. But now I think after a few months, once the budget is presented, we will see electoral activity going full throttle.
I know whatever is happening is largely political, Ambassador Basit, but the then Prime Minister, and now I'm assuming will be a leader of the opposition, has clearly said that this is the result of a foreign conspiracy. His own army chief has contradicted him on most policy matters. As a seasoned diplomat, how do you think this reflects on Pakistan, and how would the world be looking at Pakistan and the way decisions are taken and the way policymakers sort of bring everything into the mix to save their position of power?
As a result of this ruling, Imran Khan is now the Prime Minister of Pakistan till time the no confidence motion is taken up by the National Assembly. As far as the conspiracy theory is concerned, I personally never lent any credibility to that, because we all know that how interstate relations work. That was one part. Other states do try to topple governments if they're not to their liking. That is something, history is replete with such examples. But the major question was, and I think it will continue to be discussed in the political arena, whether there were people who collaborated domestically. And that was the aspect which Imran Khan wanted to project or tell to the people of Pakistan. There are people in the opposition who were actively conniving with the US, and that was the dangerous game that was being played, because that inevitably injected more mutual apprehensions between Pakistan and the US. Then subsequently we saw that how the army chief in his statement said the Islamabad security dialogue tried to control the damage by making a statement that Pakistan would like to have a strategic relationship with the US since US is our largest trading partner and we have huge US investments in Pakistan. So I think this government, new government in a coalition, now we will have a coalition government in any case, under the Prime Ministership of Shehbaz Sharif, would be able to reach out to the US while maintaining our strategic partnership with China. That goes without saying, because during the Nawaz Sharif time, we had seen how Pakistan Muslim League government tried to strengthen, augment this relationship. But that doesn't mean that our relationship with America or with the US cannot be really improved. So my own feeling is that this is a good decision. As was mentioned, someone mentioned that it has also buried the doctrine of necessity in Pakistan, which is good for the constitution, for the supremacy of the constitution. And I think Pakistanis, by and large, should be content with this ruling by the Supreme Court.
Ambassador Basit, I'm going to request you to stay with us. Imtiaz Gul, senior journalist, also joining us from Islamabad. Imtiaz Gul, what next for Imran Khan?
Well, I think they should be meeting right now, Imran Khan with all his close cohorts and discussing the next move. And they had earlier indicated, although not officially, that they may resign and block if there is an adverse ruling by the Supreme Court. So we don't know whether they still believe in that and whether they will stick to this decision, because now the session has been called of the National Assembly for the 9th. And this basically means everything has been restored and the Prime Minister is back as a full-time Prime Minister, and now he has to face the vote of no confidence. But it is quite weird. It's a quite weird, unprecedented situation in which all steps that have been taken since Sunday will have to be reversed to enable the Parliament to vote out the Prime Minister.
Ambassador Basit, would you say that Imran Khan enjoys the popular support that he claims that he enjoys?
He's still a very popular leader. There is no question about that. But the question remains, we will all know when the next election comes.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.